Hi everybody, thanks for joining the Nirvana session. So in this session we are going to talk about annual reports and introduction to annual reports, to be more precise. So even before we get into the topic, it's very important to understand why we have chosen this topic and created an entire workshop out of this, and what's the importance of reading and understanding an annual report. So whenever clients come to us and they want to invest into the market, we often tell them that you need to conduct research before investing. If you can't conduct your own research or you don't have the time, then you can come to somebody like us where we do asset management basically. But what is research? Right. So for Savart, research means a lot of fundamental analysis. Now there are broadly two kinds of investment research: fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Now there's a very broad distinction. There are a lot of other strategies, different methodologies of conducting research, but these are the two most popular kinds of strategies, or not even strategies but concepts of research that you can think about. So fundamental analysis focuses on the fundamental strength of a business, which is, say, the financials, corporate governance, the quality of the management, the business strength, the product strength, what is the moat of the business, is it an ethical company. So things which matter to the business and to the financial growth of the company is something that is studied in the fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis typically takes time for its results to be seen, and that is why it is recommended for long term investors. And the other side, technical analysis is something that a lot of short term market participants like traders involve in. So whether it is looking at the patterns or the movements of the stock price, or looking at the sentiment of the market and making their trading decisions. So this is what is discussed generally in technical analysis. So as per Savart's philosophy, we believe that fundamental analysis is the key to stock market success. Now we do not want to make statements where we say fundamental analysis is better than technical analysis, though the data says so. But then the focus of the session is to start with something very specific like an annual report, which forms the basis of your entire fundamental analysis. So whenever we tell somebody to conduct research, we are technically talking about fundamental analysis. Now there are a lot of tools, there's a lot of screeners and watch lists, there are different comparison tools where you can compare stocks within the same industry, look at their financial ratios and make decisions. But then why did we choose annual report? Because annual report is the first hand and primary source of information and communication from the company. So whatever data that you see generally in your screeners or in your watch lists or in your research reports, most of it comes from the primary source of information, which is annual report. Now, the reason why annual reports are well known but not well read is because typically they are very long. A typical annual report is anywhere between 350 to 500 pages, and in an age where the attention span of all of us is declining by the day, there are very little people left who want to actually do that hard work of reading through that kind of information basically. So they want something that is ready made, and that is what exactly we get. We get a constant stream of opinionated research reports, often with the conflict of interest and an inherent bias in the kind of communication that is given within those reports. And we look at flashy quarterly presentations, we focus on the visuals, but we forget to look at the narrative or the story or the rationale behind it. So this is the important or critical insight that is left out when you don't read an annual report, especially with a lot of founders and entrepreneurs or management or board of directors who do not give out a lot of interviews, who do not give out a lot of their information to the press. The only way to get information or to get a peep into what's happening inside the company is through the annual report, because again that is the first hand source of information to and a window into understanding the company and the people behind them better. So this is the reason we decided to start with an annual report. Now, while the popularity of annual reports might be overall decreasing, we still believe it is an irreplaceable source of information and insights to conduct your investment research. So, what is an annual report? The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants defines accounting as the art of recording, classifying, summarizing, interpreting, and communicating the financial activities of a business. Now, while recording is done through a ledger, classifying is done through a journal, summarizing and interpretation is done through financial statements, the grand finale of communication is done through an annual report. So, an annual report is a presentation of the company's business, structure, its plans, what happened in the previous years or in the latest year, their plans and promises for the next years, their financial statements, their auditor reports, what their board wishes to communicate with its shareholders. So, this is a powerful piece of business communication that has marketing, branding, and shareholder implications. It is mandatory for all companies registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to publish their annual reports every year. So, an annual report can typically be accessed through the company's website. So, all listed companies generally have a section termed the investors section or the investors details. So, you can go to that section and there will be a lot of information including data on their shareholder committee, investor relation contact details, their quarterly presentations or quarterly reports data or their quarterly financials, then news or media publications about the company's developments, and there will definitely be a section which has the annual reports. So you can go directly to that section and download the annual report right there. If you want something that is easier, which I use generally, I go to screener.in and just a disclaimer, this is not a sponsored post. I'm a great fan of screener.in as well. So I go to screener.in, go to the document section and download the annual report right there. So this is how you can access the annual report. So when is an annual report released generally? So every company has to conduct a meeting with its shareholders called the AGM, the annual general meeting. It has to be conducted once every year. This is a very key meeting where the financial details or the accounts of the company post the audit are accepted and approved by the shareholders of the company. Now, apart from the financial decisions or financial details, there are other key decisions like appointment or reappointment of directors. There are other statutory and regulatory processes that are also conducted, and if there are any key voting decisions pertaining to the business, whether it is to raise further capital or it is a demerger of the business into different verticals, all these key decisions are voted and discussed upon during the AGM. Now, post this AGM, within a few weeks or months, an annual report is supposed to be published, and we've already discussed how you can easily access these annual reports when you do require them. So an annual report typically contains the business overview and leadership communication, the management discussion and analysis, the board's report to shareholders, the auditor's report, followed by the financial statements. Now, the order of these sections, the names of these sections could vary a lot from company to company. I've seen annual reports vary from, say, being 100 pages long to 700 pages long. The unique thing about annual reports is that each company has its own style, format, and design of presenting an annual report. Now, it is important that you don't get overwhelmed or confused by these. You need to look for a few key important points that we are going to discuss in the next sessions anyways, and keep an eye out for insights that could help you make your final investment decision. It is also important to note that there are a few requirements by regulation which are specific to a few companies. For example, the largest 1,000 companies by market capitalization are also required to include a business responsibility and sustainability report in their annual report. Now, this report typically talks about the sustainability practices of the company, like their carbon neutral plans or their carbon emission data or their impact on the community, and a detailed CSR report as well. So these requirements are not necessitated by regulation from smaller companies or companies which are not the 1,000 largest by market capitalization. So it is important that you don't end up misunderstanding if you don't find these details in all annual reports as well. However, it does not mean that a company should not divulge these details or should not maintain this data if they are not in that category. In fact, it's a good indicator, it's a good signal if a company is being very transparent with its environmental sustainability or responsibility programs as well. It is good if a company is thinking about its future and being very open to its shareholders and prepping itself to be the next big company or join the league of the biggies basically. So this is these are the small subtle things that you should be looking out for when you're reading an annual report, because this is what differentiates a great company from a good company or a great business from a good business. Now that we have understood the importance and what exactly an annual report is, in the next session we'll start discussing the details of an annual report and the sections that I spoke about, from the business overview until the financial statements. We'll get into depth of each of these sections and uncover details and insights that will help you make your investment decision.